Hey guys, Bike here, and I'm coming at you today with my thoughts and conclusions on Last Epoch. As you guys can tell, I have not been uploading too much to YouTube lately, and the reason why is I've been streaming Last Epoch over on my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/babblingBike. I stream Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays, 5 to 8 p.m. Pacific. So, this game has been great. I've been having a great time. The community's been great. The turnout's been amazing. I've been having an awesome time. And spoiler alert, I'm going to be sticking with this game. This game has me, man. This game absolutely has me. And yeah, so I'm just going to be kind of going over some of the various things that I like about the game, some of the things I don't like, but that's not going to be too much. This game has been out for about 4 years. It's been in early access, but the game's pretty well fleshed out. Wow, that was a mouthful on that one. Yeah, it's pretty well fleshed out. And so there's already a lot of information out there. There's a lot of wikis. And so instead of doing a full on review, I'm going to be kind of going over some of the systems that I like in the game. As you guys know, I am a huge Diablo lover. And when Diablo 4 came out, we were having a great time. We were streaming it. We were uploading videos. Some of those build videos are some of my most viewed videos here on the channel. Other than those random few World of Warships videos that I did where, I opened a bunch of crates like a moron and spent, a bunch of money. But that's neither here nor there. In terms of just content that I put out there, the Diablo reception was fairly good. The thing that happened with Diablo is there was that big patch right at the start of season 1, and that pretty much everything just like, I don't know what the devs were doing, but this is not a Diablo 4 video. This is a Last Epoch video. The reason why I mentioned Diablo 4 is I, like many others, felt burned by the developers. Hopefully they get it right. I'd love to go back and play the game some more. But nonetheless, I decided to check out other options, and Last Epoch is one that I heard kept popping up. For $35, you get access to 5 base classes, 15 mastery classes, even though there's one that's not out yet. And just the amount of content in-game systems, like it's awesome. It even has an endless mode. This is something that I wanted so much in Diablo, is just to mindlessly come home from, well, not mindlessly come home from work, sit down and mindlessly just kill mobs of enemies while chilling, have YouTube playing, music, whatever. This game has it. And it has a leaderboard for this endless mode. Survive as long as you can, and bam, you can get onto the leaderboards, but from what I've seen, it's pretty difficult. Yeah, I mean, it seems like it's pretty difficult. I haven't even gotten there yet. I've played 50 hours now. Not all of that's been on one class. It's primarily been on one class, but I've played a few different other classes to see how they are. They all seem really unique. The amount of builds you can do in this game. Anyway, I'm starting to kind of go all over the place. If this gives you any idea of how I feel about the game, just the amount of gushing that's going forth, like if you got this far in the video and all you want to hear is, should I buy it or should I not? Yes, just go out there and buy it. You can end the video right now. Thank you for watching. Like, share, and subscribe. Like, absolutely. Love the support, appreciate you guys, but nonetheless, let's kind of dive into some of the systems in the game. I'll lightly touch on the campaign, but it's not going to be too much there. The campaign's not even finished yet. It takes you to a moment, and then when you get to this moment, you're kind of like in the end game. I'm thinking that the campaign will be fully fleshed out when it finally leaves early access, but I don't even care. I wanted to do the in-game systems. It gets you there in like 10 to 12 hours. And yeah, so let's jump into it. I'm going to pop over into the game right now, kind of show you guys what I've been doing, and we'll go from there. See you guys soon. All right, welcome back. So let's do a quick little rundown on the campaign. I thought the campaign was pretty decent. I started off with Sentinel. Sentinel is one of the 5 base classes you can choose, and you play through the campaign up until you get to about level 20. Let me tell you, this is like an hour into the game. You don't have to play that far into the campaign. And you then get to choose a mastery class. When you choose this mastery class, that's really where you get to really go in depth. Like, let me show you guys real quick. here we are. Here's the Sentinel tree, right? You can pick some nodes and stuff, and you guys can roast me if you want, if you've been playing this game for a while and you just, you wanted to come and have a good laugh. Well, here you go. Here's what I've been going with. I haven't really looked up too many guides or anything. I've just been playing the game the way I want to, and I think this is something over D4, just real quick, that is really nice. It feels like almost any build is viable. You just got to understand the systems, and you can make it work. Whereas in D4, I felt like if you really wanted to push it, you had to go to a meta build. That might end up being the case, but here I am playing the game, playing this spin to win paladin guy, dealing fire damage, and anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself again. Sorry about smacking my mic. So yeah, here's a few of the things you can choose in your skill tree for Sentinel, but then bam, you go over to Paladin and you get all these other, passive points that you can go into. Oh, I want some more mana, I want some more armor, I want to do more damage. You got plenty of options here, and here's the thing. Like, it makes you choose a mastery class, and it even warns you that, yes, like, the moment you choose this mastery class, you're locked in this mastery class. The thing is, you can also dip into the other classes, but do you guys see this big chain right here? You can't go past that, but that's all right, because you're going to be wanting to put most of your points in your main class anyway. But in every tree has a few, let's say, little perks that you can pick up. In this case, I dipped into Void Knight because you can get some extra health and you can get some resistances. We'll go into resistances in a little bit. They are very important. So I dipped into Void Knight a little bit. I primarily have put most of my points into Paladin because, yes, I'm a Paladin. and one thing you unlock is Paladin specific abilities. You can do the same, like, as you can see for Void Knight. I could also take some of these abilities right here, but this chain right here prevents you from getting this level 30 ability, as well as there's a mastery skill you get right off the bat with the character that you can't get at all. You have to actually master into it. In this case for Paladin, it's Holy Aura. I mean, an absolute classic. If you play D2, if you remember in D2 you have like or even D3 with the Crusader, you got these auras that can kind of generate stuff for you and your allies. Well, same thing here. It's kind of combined into one, so to speak, ish. There isn't really a mana generating aura as far as I can tell, but yeah, anyway, I'm having a great time with that. Here's another thing with the skills. So you guys remember with Diablo, you'd have like, especially Diablo 4, you'd take a skill and then you could take like one of two runes. Check this out. So the cap on you get access to all of these abilities right here, right? So I'm a Paladin, I get access to all of these. I dipped into Void Knight so I could take these abilities as well. You also get these abilities for just being a Sentinel, and then you can get these abilities right here for investing in the Sentinel tree. As far as I can tell, you have to invest at least 20 points in this Sentinel tree, and you would get all of these anyway. So these are basically all abilities you can choose from. And then you got your mastery abilities that you can kind of pick from over here, depending on how much you've invested into the trees. But on top of it, out of all these abilities, which you can just add to your hotbar anytime you want, just click and then you can just slot one in. You get this ability to specialize into each skill. And look at the trees. Look at the skill trees that pop up for each ability I'm mastered in. The soft cap here is 20, but as you can tell, I got certain pieces of gear like Diablo 4, how you can find pieces of gear. They can increase that soft cap past level 20, and you can add more points and really customize the ability. I'm doing fire damage, so here's this skill called Vengeance. It's a melee skill. And I put a little bit of extra. This one does some damage. This one does some more damage. But this ability right here, this shreds fire resistance each time you hit with this. So one thing I like to do is smack them with this a little bit. And then I use this ability. It's called Warpath, but it's basically Whirlwind from Diablo. And this one, I spin around in a circle and I do fire damage. And one thing over Diablo, it scales with attack speed. So my character spins really fast at this point in the game. Nonetheless, I'm like, okay, I'm Paladin. I want to do fire damage. How do I want to customize this? Well, here, let me take this little fire node right here, and let me take a node right here. Let me dip down into here. I can do some more damage at the cost of mana. Oh, look, I can reduce the mana cost as I'm spinning. And it's the same thing for all of these other abilities right here. You can really customize your entire build to go with your gear. And here's an example of some of the gear. Get a good laugh. Yes, I'm still using 2 pieces of rare gear. In this game, unlike Diablo where you had rare gear and then you just went into legendaries and then you had some like uniques, this game has it has the normal magic rare, and then it goes up to exalted, which has like a keystone perk, so to speak, on each of the gear that you can find. And then you can kind of customize it. Each piece of gear has this forging potential, which goes into the crafting system. I'll go lightly over the crafting system, but the crafting system is robust, and if that's something you're interested in, maybe I can try and release a standalone guide, but it is kind of it's a lot to take in. I had to have a viewer kind of walk me through it as I'm playing the game. They're like typing in the chat like, "Hey dummy, you should be working on your gear." I'm like, I'm like, I can't just take it through the enchanters and re-roll something. Like, no, you gotta customize it. So here's a brief example. So instead of legendary items, there are legendary items in this game, but the kind of tier is normal, magic, rare, exalted, unique, and then on top of unique is legendary. Legendary is basically a unique item that's been altered a little bit. So like, let's take this unique item that I got right here. I got this unique katana. It does fire damage, it ignites and stuff like that. Later on in the game, I haven't gotten there yet, I can actually combine this item right here with like some of this item. I don't fully understand how it works, but I've been told that you can kind of combine some of this with some of this to kind of customize it even further. Then the unique item will then upgrade to a legendary. I've had this happen with this one right down here. Now this is a separate thing altogether, but this was a unique relic that I had attached to my character that as I'm using the item was very specific to this particular item. As I slay enemies, it gains extra affixes and stuff, you know, perks to the item. And as it gains extra perks, and now it kind of upgrades it from what it was a unique item. Now it's a legendary item. I understand that's a lot of information. I personally don't fully understand it myself. I will probably release a video later on down the line if you guys are interested with more information on this. I'm still learning the systems myself. I just want to kind of cover what I know, even if it's not that much. So do you guys remember Diablo 2 and you had these charms that you can put into your inventory? They take up slots right here, and they were kind of annoying. It's like you needed them to clear stuff, but then, you know, your inventory, which is already limited, is now taken up by these charms. Well, Last Epoch is like, hey, yeah, let's do the same thing, except we're going to create our own tab. We're going to call them idols, but they're going to have the same thing. They're going to come in different sizes. The bigger they are, the more they do, and you can really use this to help customize your build. So if you take this for instance, this adds plus 6 seconds to the duration of Sigils of Hope. For Paladin, Sigils of Hope is like this little thing you can do, and it grants you like a little buff. And this is one of those abilities I was talking about earlier, so you can customize this ability and go over what the Sigils of Hope do. They can, you know, increase your fire damage, increase your health regen. They can do all these different little things for you. This is just one ability. This particular idol right here increases that duration, and then on top of it, I have a chance to shred armor with fire skills. I'm a fire-based paladin. I'm doing a whole bunch of fire skills. So this goes really hand in hand with what I'm doing. And because it's a bit better, it takes up more slots. As you can see, it takes up 4 slots right there. Now, to unlock all these idle slots, you got to play through the campaign and do these side quests. You do all these side quests, you unlock all of these. From what I've read, after you've completed the campaign, if you start another character, you can sort of soft skip the campaign. Once you choose your mastery class, you can go straight into the Monoliths of Fate, which is something I'll go over in a little bit. But I don't know if you want to do that, because these idols can really buff your character. I mean, look at this. Another 47% chance to shred armor with fire skills. This one actually penetrates resistances with fire melee attacks, which is, hey, that's me. I penetrate resistances with... I hit people with my sword, which does fire damage. I'm going to want this. And on top of it, this one gives me a little bit of health, some resistances, increased health regen, resistances. I probably got to find a better one for this, but this one helps me not get as stunned as much, critical strike, all that stuff. So I know that was just a huge just vomit of information, but I'm really excited about this game, and I'm trying to share what I know and make it cohesive in a video. So I apologize if that was just a, hey guys, just dump all over you. But I'm hoping that seeing how robust this system is, if you haven't played this game, or if you've heard about it, or if you haven't heard about it, but you're like me, you got kind of burned by D4 and you're not interested in the new Diablo 3 season or whatever. If you're looking for something else, it costs $35. You can come check this out. Let's get into some of these in-game systems, right? So one thing you're going to want to do for sure is these resistances. There's a lot of them for sure. Fire, lightning, cold, physical, poison, necrotic, void. There's all these different mob types. They do all these different damage types. You're going to want to hit 75 on each of these. This is really important. You'll even be feeling this in the campaign. You'll be getting near the end of the campaign. The campaign that's not finished, right? You'll be getting near the end of the campaign, and you'll just be getting bodied. And I had a viewer watching me just getting one shot over and over again. They're like, hey, press C on your keyboard. I'm like, okay. And then they were just laughing. It was just pathetic. Like, this one was like 12%. This one, it was just like absolutely bad. They're like, hey man, take it from me, get these to at least 75. I'm like, okay. So I got these to all to 75%. And I did that by taking points in the trees like this. I did that by also like putting it on some of my gear, like this amulet right here. I haven't traded it out yet because I get so many different forms of resistance from this one right here. And so I was all around 75% on all of these. As you can tell, it shows you how much over you are on all of these, and I figured that was just to kind of give you an idea of, oh hey, you're over on your gear. You can probably trade out that piece of gear that has that. The next day, another viewer pops into my stream, and I'm over here trying to get down to as close to 75 as possible, and they're like, hey man, I don't know if I would do that. I'm like, what do you mean? They're like, well, what if you run into a monster or a mob type that just shreds? I'm like, well, I guess you're screwed, right? It shreds your resistance. He's like, no. If you're over, like, hover over it, dummy. And I'm like, okay. Enemies that penetrate are going to penetrate the resistance from this overage first. So you're not going to be taking more damage until they've gone through this overage, and then they start chewing into the 75%. He's like, so it's actually a good idea to be over a decent amount on all of these as you're going. I'm like, wow, that's just another system that I didn't know about. So I capped all those out, And then I was getting hit again, and somebody's like, what's your armor? This was absolutely pathetic. They're like, hey, you got to get your armor up too. I'm like, well, I already got all my resistances up, and this one helps me against physical. And they're like, no, your armor is like an overall damage reduction that applies to all different types of damage, except for damage over time. So like your burning, your poison, blah, blah, blah. They're like, get this one stacked up as much as you possibly can as well, and this will give you a flat damage reduction. And you know what? Absolutely right. This is just something I need to do. I'm coming from the mindset of do as much damage as possible, kill them before they can kill you. It's not going to necessarily work. Eventually, some of these enemy types do become a bit of a sponge. Nonetheless, this is a brief overview of this. If this is something that you're interested in, you like crunchy numbers, you like doing this sort of thing, or even if you don't, but you like having the options to tweak and modify your build, again, $35 gets you access to all of this. So, maybe you're sitting here and you're like, okay, Bite, what can you do in the end game? You've told me about this campaign that you thought was okay and whatever, like what else? I'm like, first off, I think the campaign is just a giant tutorial. Nonetheless, what really got me interested in the game is I heard that there was an endless mode. We'll get into that in a little bit. And then after that, somebody was like, hey, or I read somewhere else that, hey, there's this mode where you can just do these randomly generated maps with these randomly generated minion types and stuff. You clear them and you get stuff. Well, that turns out to be monoliths. There are 10 monoliths of fate. They all have different timelines. They all have different levels. I'm still in the basic levels. I'm still in the normal timeline. So like this timeline, all the enemies are level 58. All the enemies are level 62, so on and so forth. You complete these timelines right here. And as you complete them, you get a buff that just stays with you. And you can complete this again because you get to choose from 3. You can complete this again and choose a different one if you end up like, oh yeah, this one sucked. And as you're doing these monoliths of fate, you're trying to go through. Actually, let me just show you what I got right here. So you're trying to go through. You start off like down here, and you choose the next monolith. They're technically these little timelines right here are called echoes. You choose the next echo that you want to jump to, and they have like a little random like, hey, enemies do 20% critical damage. You have a 10% to find this. You'll get rare shields from this, and it'll add to the stability of the timeline. You want to max that. You want to get the stability up because each timeline has 3 static missions attached to it. So you do this one, you do this one. And as you can tell, you get the stability up on the timeline, and you eventually unlock all 3. You complete this last one, and there's a boss. You take out the boss. They usually drop a pretty nice item, and then you've completed the timeline. You get a buff. What you're trying to do is to complete all of these timelines, get all these buffs. And then what happens is all of these timelines give you access to empowered timelines where all the enemies are automatically level 100. And then it gets way harder, but the loot gets way better. And you just want to farm these like crazy. And you know what? It's just really nice to come home from work. You've been working all day. You sit down and you mindlessly just clear stuff. And I found this system to be kind of like Rifts and also a little bit like maps from Path of Exile, kind of like a combination of both. Each little echo doesn't last that long. It is worth noting if you die in the echo, you lose any rewards and you would have to do the echo again, or you can just jump to a different echo. So like, let's say I was going up here, I completed this one, then I go to this one, and then I died. It would just show no rewards to be gained. But if I still wanted to get access to these different echoes right here, I'd still probably have to complete this echo to give me, because as you guys can see right here, you see like this little sort of like wispy trail as opposed to this straight line. You complete this, it gives you access to this node right here, which you can be like, oh, well, that one's going to drop rare axes. I want to do the rare axes. Bam. You can go there for that. Oh, man, that was a mouthful. Anyway, monoliths are great. I'm having an awesome time. Let's take a look at the crafting system. So, unlike Diablo, you don't have a feature where you can just go somewhere and re-roll it. Every item has this forging potential. So you open up the crafting window, and you can move this. You can move your item over here. As you can see, I have 6 forging potential left. Once this gets to 0, the item can't be edited again. So if you got like that favorite sword you wanted to use for forever, sorry. I mean, once you've edited this sword the way you want it, either save it for another build if you don't want to use it anymore, trash it, whatever. As you guys can see, I have this Rune of Shattering. You can't just take it to a blacksmith and they break everything down and you get resources. You gotta find these runes, which they're pretty plentiful. You use these to break down these items and you get these shards. And with these shards, you can use that. So, like, let's say, let's see. Yeah, let's take this item for instance. So this item, it's a basic magic item. It only has 2 stats on there. You can add different affixes to it, like, oh, I want to add health on kill. Bam. You can now add health on kill to this slot. You can level that up to T5. That's the highest you can go on a basic crafting. You can find higher affixes like this one, but most of the time you gotta find it. Like a T6, it kind of breaks past the cap. I can't add any more to it. T6 is the highest for this item. They go even higher. There's I've heard there's like T7s out there. I don't know if I'm fully explaining this that well, but the crafting system is robust. It would be a whole video to go over it. This was just something to take a look at. Okay, so you're like, okay, bye. I understand the crafting system now. Well, probably not after this video, but, you know, I understand the crafting system now. I understand this. I understand that. I'm just clearing through these monoliths. Is there anything else I can do in the game? Because, you know, like Greater Rifts and Diablo 3, after you were hitting Greater Rift 150, the only thing you can do is gear up and try and do it faster to get on the leaderboards. There is another place you can go. You got to go over here. And, well, you don't got to go over here. This is where I put all my arena keys. You got to find these keys that they open a portal in the arena. Let's just take one. I'm not going to actually use it. We're going to go over here to the arena. Excuse me for one moment. And we lost connection to the server. One moment, I'm going to try and be back. Well, guys, I'm back. I guess the game is getting DDoSed or something. So, I'm just going to tell you about it. The arena is a place you can go, and you can do a couple different things. One is you can fight through a set number of waves, which is generally 40, and then fight a boss at the end. The waves get harder, and then along the way they can be like, hey, do you want the boss to drop this item if you defeat it? Cool, you do this, now the enemies are this much harder, or they do such and such, they get 100% critical chance, that sort of thing. Or you can do the endless mode. The endless mode, all the creatures, they start off at your level, but they scale up to level 100 by wave 80 if you're not there yet. I would highly recommend that you're close to level 100, if not level 100 by the time you get into there. because it just goes endlessly. I looked at the leaderboards. There's people with like they cleared like 1,000 waves. It looks nuts. For the most part, though, if you want to get on the leaderboard, you got to be clearing waves. You got to be clearing anywhere from 200 to 300 waves, and that can get you onto the leaderboards, at least in solos. I'm playing SSF, solo self found. So I guess I can't really show you too much more about the game because of what's going on right now. I could try and record this at a different time, but I feel like I've already kind of covered everything that I love about the game. So I'm gonna go ahead and close things out now as we look at this. I have never seen this happen before. Usually the servers are absolutely solid, so this is unusual for me to see this. Unfortunately, it happened. So conclusion, I'm going to be playing the game a lot more. Well, not a lot more. I'm going to be playing the game continually. I've been loving the game. The game has been absolutely amazing. The community's been great. And I just want to push my build as far as I can go. I want to just get ultimately to what I think is the most stacked. I haven't looked up any guides, though. Well, I have looked up a few guys. It looks like Paladin really likes to do the whole hammered in thing, but no, I want to make this work. I want to be the spin to win fire guy, and I want to try and get onto the arena leaderboards while spinning to win with a fire melee Paladin. That's what I want to go for. Anyway, if you guys like this video, consider liking and sharing and possibly subscribing to the channel. We will definitely be uploading more Last Epoch content. I've been loving the game, and I hope to continue to cover this for many more months, if not years. Anyway, you guys take care. Have a good one. Cheers.